people in the YouTube world. You already know who it is, and you already know what it is. It's your boy B, and I'm right back about you cats with another video. And welcome to another Outlier B experience. Today, we got a pretty good episode lined up for you. You know I do. We speak about that 10%. We speak about the health. We also speak about the career. And then we just speak about things in general. And yesterday, I finished off speaking about systems. We're going to speak the last part about that systems talk that I tell you cats about. And it's on, my people, it's on. So, the first thing we started off with is health. And how did I do yesterday? Again, I gave myself all my shots, which are good. I told you cats about my stomach burning from the pancreatitis, where everything I ate, sometimes it makes my stomach feel like I swallowed a bunch of needles. But my people, yesterday was okay. I did get those pains again. So what I did was I eat things that don't really make my stomach hurt, which is like rice and just boiled chicken, man. You know, just a basic diet like that. That's what I took yesterday. That's what I ate yesterday. And my stomach stopped burning. This morning, I haven't had any burns yet, but I haven't eaten anything solid. And usually that is the test, my people. So we're going to see how that goes today. Last night, I got a bunch of sleep, a whole bunch of sleep, because waking up early like I do between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, often, by the time 4 o'clock in the afternoon comes, I'll be knocked out, kid. And then when, you work hard from that time, I kind of got into that yesterday, it makes a lot of strain on your brain, man. And when you thinking a lot, man, it makes you tired, kid. When you think a lot, it makes you tired. And you carrying a heavy burden with like analytical work, that can make your body very tired. So that tends to happen to me because I sprint from the time I get in, like 6 o'clock, to about like maybe 3. I sprint, man. And I do need breaks. So I found that the best sleeping for me usually is when I come home, is to take a nice little nap, man, maybe 2-3 hours, which I did. I woke up like around 7:38. Then I eat something for like an hour and I go back to sleep and wake up again like 3 o'clock. And this is a system that I developed, man. And usually it keeps me out of drinking. It keeps me out of, texting people I ain't supposed to be texting, out there searching, getting myself in trouble. You know how they say idle hands are the devil's playground. And I'm one of those people that can't have too much idle time on my hands, man, because I get into things I ain't supposed to get into. So having this tight schedule helps me out, man. Definitely helps me out, man. Yesterday we did speak about work. Everything went fine. I am still working on establishing that schedule for myself where it's just the most efficient schedule, meaning I could just follow it and I get all my tasks done and nothing slips through the cracks. So we started the first phase of that yesterday. It went well. There are more things I got to add on to it. And it's just following the script, man. Following the script. We got 6 people in the check-in. 1 person hit that like button. When you come in, drop a like. Also, hit that subscribe button if this is something that you into. And what is this, my people? What is this, people? I'm just a regular human being, just like you guys, struggling from day to day. I put, I'm like my man, I win here, I win there. Sometimes I take losses, but we still winning. You dig? We got somebody on the check-in. They said, "What country, brother?" Another person said, "Hi, what country?" We are coming from America, my people. America. This is Nassau County. Nassau County, my people. Nassau County, New York, a suburb of New York City. I am actually on my way to New York City, Queens, to be exact. Y'all know I work in the city. It is 4:38 over here, my people. Somebody said, okay, bro, I feel you. It is 4:38 over here. Call in, text in. Let me know where you coming from. Let me know how it is where you guys are from. What country, what state, what city are you coming from, man? You can even drop your block if you want. Tell me what block you coming from, you know? So yeah, we back. So now work went straight, man. Again, we trying to establish procedures where things are going according to plan. So on the train again, when I'm on my way to the train, I'm gonna refine what I want to do, man. And it worked yesterday, so hopefully it work again. We got somebody else on the check-in. They said Missoula, Montana. Okay. Somebody said, when will Trump reduce tariffs, brother? He said, when will Trump reduce those tariffs, man? I don't know when Trump gonna reduce those tariffs. I don't know. We got somebody coming in from Montana. Shout out to the people in Montana, man. You the second person to check in from Montana within the last 2 weeks. So, what they doing out there in Montana, man? What do you guys do for fun out there in Montana? What's the biggest city in Montana? And how is it different from where you live at, man? You know, how is it different from where you live at? Yes, sir. So, work. I just finished telling y'all about work and procedures. And now we're going to get into something that I really wanted to talk about, man. Somebody said, please reduce the tariff, brother. Man, if I could, I would, man. If it was up to me, I would. I ain't the president. I'm just a regular dude walking to work, bro. Just a regular dude walking to work. Yeah. So, you know, this just in general, talking about systems, right, and individuals. And I'm going to pose a question to you guys, man. I'll pose a question to you guys. What's more important, the individual or the system? What's more important, the individual or the system? I'm going to tell you guys how I feel about it, and you let me know if you agree or not. Somebody said, I think Helena, Montana is the biggest. We went shooting and camping that one night. So you the brother who told me that you went so you told me, the brother, that you went camping, right? And that your friend had a shotgun. I think that was last week that we spoke about that. So how was that shopping? Or how was that trip? How was that trip out there, man? Let me know how that trip was. All right, that's what up. Let me know how that trip went. Somebody said the individual. All right, that's a great take. I'm gonna tell you how I feel about that, right? So, you guys know that I work in transportation. I'm not gonna tell you which company. I'm not gonna tell you what we do, but we work in transportation, right? And in transportation, we have routes, we have individual drivers, we have people who do what they're supposed to do, right? Now, again, we got 4 different companies that we work with. Now, I could guarantee you that all companies probably got the same type of workers, what I mean. What I'm saying is that all of them have good drivers. They all have lazy drivers. They all have drivers that are better than some, you know? But if I was to take a percentage, I could probably say that in general, you probably got 5% excellent drivers in each company. You probably got maybe 70 to 80% of people that's just out there just trying to live, man, just trying to live. They all following procedures. And then you probably got another like maybe 5 to 10% bad drivers who are out there really not trying to do what they supposed to do. I'll put a small percentage in great. And so we got somebody else in the check, and they said, brother, we are human beings and we should help each other. That is correct. We are human beings and we all should be helping each other. I most definitely agree with that. I have no issue with that statement. That's a great statement and you are correct. But, you know, I'm just going by what I see in general and taking averages. So I wouldn't say that one group of the people who we work with or different companies have a more higher percentage of great drivers than they have of poor drivers. I think that they all are the same. Now, when we talk about systems, we have to speak about other things too. So we got to look at the routes that these brokers are getting, because in reality, there are certain routes that's harder than others. Somebody said, please ask Trump to reduce tariff, brother. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So, of course, there are going to be routes that's difficult. So, for example, we know that in Manhattan, in New York, you have a lot more traffic in Manhattan than you will a place like certain parts of Queens, right? You also have more traffic coming out of the Bronx, places like this where you have a huge concentration of people, certain parts of the Bronx, certain parts of Brooklyn, where if as a company and we're giving out rides to other companies, I can basically give you harder routes than another company. One thing you got, if you stay in Brooklyn, and do a Brooklyn to Brooklyn is gonna be easier than a trip if you go from Brooklyn to say Far Rockaway or the Bronx to Far Rockaway. So these are procedures in which, different companies can get. And if me personally, if I'm a statistician and I wanna make it harder for one group, I could give them those type of trips. We also have situations where somebody said, take care, brother. Yes, we will. Somebody said, love you, brother. Love you too, man. Love you too. You know? So, yeah, there are some, damn, yo, look what they did to this man. That's just dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. So, yeah, there's ways that we can influence the production of companies by giving them certain trips. We also know that during certain times of the day, it's going to be harder. So rush hour, you get a lot of trips during the rush hour. It's going to put more of a strain on your staff than other trips. We can also look at things like, when are you giving these drivers the trips? So you have something called the promise time, where this is the time we say we're going to get the client. Now, if a company is steadily giving drivers trips within that promise time, so let's say you have a window between 5 and 5:30 to pick up a client, right? And the company, the overall company that you work for, they're sending you late trips. So if you got to be there by 5:30 and they're sending you the trip at like 5:20, you only got like 10 minutes to pick up the trip. And that also depends on how far you are away from the trip. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that you have issues that are beyond the operator's control. However, these issues basically can determine how well you do as a driver. And like I said, different driver pools have different strengths. So you may be able to give a trip late in traffic to one driver, and that is an excellent driver. And no matter what, they're gonna do their best, and they're most likely gonna get that trip on time. Meanwhile, you give it to another driver, which is, let's say, an average driver. Now, this driver is not gonna perform as well under pressure as another driver. And what happens is it skews the overall percentage of what we're looking at. So if we're looking at an on-time performance and we have one company that's sending drivers trips at wrong times, their routes are harder than another company's routes, chances are when we look at these rides statistically, that one company that has it harder, they're gonna produce they're gonna produce lower percentages of certain statistics. So the point I'm looking at is that depending on the system that you're operating in, depends on how well the driver will do. We can see that also in different sports. So you'll look at the Atlanta Braves, who have historically had a great pitching program where they establish great pitchers. Now, they're recruiting plays a lot on this, but also the program in which a pitcher can get into can greatly improve their chances of becoming successful in Major League Baseball. It's the same thing as in, basketball, football. If you get into a great program and that program fits you and that program has an established success rate, a player getting into that position have a better chance at succeeding than a player that's in a more chaotic system. And that's the point I'm using, man. That's the point I'm using. So again, you can have, average, which I notice most people are average. You put them into a system that doesn't promote success, then chances are the average outcome that you're going to get from someone is not going to be as productive as someone else. And when we're dealing with a population of millions of people, you start to see those results may begin to look skewed. And someone can tell a driver like me, for a particular, I get all driver statistics, or all the statistics that a driver have, meaning their on-time performance, when they're receiving these trips, and things like that. And I could put them together, right? I could put them together. And I could see that this driver is underperforming. And it may look like, okay, just give this driver more training, or just pick better drivers. That's the easy route. That's the easy route. We got to look at when this driver is receiving their pickups, overall, what type of trips that this driver is receiving as opposed to other drivers. And that can ultimately explain what's more important, the individual or the system. Now, again, we can't look at populations and say, well, this group got to have better drivers, because the system that they're in is harder than another system that this other person is in, you know? So I could be a great driver in a system where I'm getting bad pickups, I'm getting routes that's long, but at the same time, I'm just an extraordinary driver. And my on-time performance could be like 98 in all of those conditions. Now, I will look at it like, damn, son, I'm the outlier, yo. If most of the people that my company works for are, you know, producing average, and, you know, there's a larger percentage of people that's not doing average, then I could say, you know, maybe I am the outlier. Maybe I am the great driver. Like, it would be wrong for me to look down on the other drivers like, yo, just because I'm doing it, you can do it. You can do it. And I feel that people who make it out of messed up situations and they are the great driver, you know, they look down and say, well, I did it, you could do it. That's cool. You know, that's cool because you are a great person. But at the same time, when we look at population statistics, you have to have some type of empathy and be like, damn, well, I could do it. And you know what? This isn't right. I don't want people, other drivers coming up behind me to have to deal with this same type of system. So me, who may be great, I'm going to fight for the average person and say, well, you know what? I could do it, but at the same time, it ain't right that we're receiving these routes. It's not right that we're not getting out to pickups within a time that can make us, you know, perform correctly. It's not right that we're getting these high-value pickups during this time in this location. Something has to change, you know? And I feel that way, you know? I most definitely feel that way when we start talking about things. And I think a lot of these conversations that we have socially revolve around that, you know, the system that you operate in. And if we all just had empathy for each other and attempted to make the playing field equal for all drivers, for all operators to have the same success rate, I think that we'd be a much, much, much better place, you know? And I may be speaking from a level of, you know, fairy tale land, because in all actuality, we say everybody's created equal, but in this country, everybody's not beginning from the same starting point, if y'all grasp the concept of what I'm saying. Now, we at this great, fine establishment, and that usually means it's the end of my podcast. And I'm going to keep the integrity up by telling y'all this is the end of my podcast. I'm about to go up in here, make me a nice little coffee, go over there to the train station. But think about what I said, man, in systems, and really understand what I'm basically talking about, my people. But I'm up out here. Thank everybody for checking in. This is your boy B. We up out here, man. I love y'all. Peace out.